Welcome to Inside the Artist Studio. This morning we're going to focus on woodworking. Hi everybody, I'm Tim Gore, your host for HEC TV Live, and I'm very happy to welcome you to Craft Alliance and their woodworking studio. Located in the heart of St. Louis's Entertainment District Grand Center, Craft Alliance provides studio space for artists in woodworking, metals, fiber, paint, all sorts of areas. And today we're going to have the chance for you to interact with artist Matt Keim as he creates a piece from scratch.
This is a wood lathe, and there's a motor on this side, and it's going to drive the piece. On this side is stationary. There's a little bearing here that's just going to support it from the back side.
Okay.
I don't always need to use this, but on a natural edge piece, there's an uneven contact up front, so I need to have extra support on the back so that it doesn't come loose and try to come off the lathe. But if I was just doing a functional bowl, it'd be flat on both sides in many cases, and I wouldn't have to worry about that. But
what's
I
the
do
kind
today.
of wood we're going to work with today?
So this is sugar maple, which is a local wood. This was given to me by a tree trimmer here locally. So he knows that I enjoy this type of thing. So when he comes across them, he'll save them for me.
So it came to you like this already, or have you already done some prep work?
I've already done some prep work. So it came to me on the side of a log.
Okay.
So this came out of the log. The tree grew this way. So if you think of a tree standing upright, this is the bark of the tree. So the bark would wrap around the tree in this fashion. And this came out of a knot. If you ever see a knot on the side of a tree, it came out of that. So what I've done is just taken it on a bandsaw and roughly cut it out. Sometimes I'll cut it to a perfect circle. On this one I didn't because it was kind of an awkward piece of wood. So I just took the corners off. We'll have more chips flying today than normal. If I'd made it round, then you wouldn't have quite so many chunks coming off. They'd all be shavings, which we'll talk about later.
And those chunks are why we'll be wearing our safety glasses here, our safety goggles as we work.
Sure.
What else do the students need to know as you put the piece onto the wood piece onto the lathe?
I've drilled a hole in the center here.
Okay. Right in here.
Yeah, I guessed it's approximate. The lathe will make it round, so I don't need to make it perfect round until it's on the lathe. That's the purpose of my machine here. So this is a chuck. So this is going to grab this screw for me. So I'm going to tighten this on the screw. And what that'll do is I can screw that piece of wood onto that screw, and that'll give me a good hold so that it stays put. So once that's on, so now I'll take my piece. I have the hole I drilled, which matches the shaft diameter of this. I screw this on, and you'll see it's not going to contact. You can see a gap here. It has not contacted the chuck on this side. It is contacting here. So if I did not support it from the back, it would, as soon as I tried to cut it, it would come loose.
It would just come loose.
Yeah, so we're going to bring this up for support. And I'll shift it a little bit to where I want it.
Okay.
This is called the tailstock. So I'll get that good and tight. Make sure this is tight. And this, it may come a little loose over time, and I'll just keep tightening this to keep pressure on it.
All right.
So now it's mounted between the two centers. So I have the headstock, the tailstock, and the chuck. And my piece of wood's mounted, and we're ready to start. So we're going to bring up my tool rest here. I'm going to set it at the height that I want it so that I'm cutting a little bit right around center, maybe a little above. And you can see you always have to test, because if I would turn the lathe on, it's going to turn and hit. So since it's not round, you always have to check it, make sure it's not going to hit.
Okay.
And I'm still a little closer than I want to be, so I'll back that up. Just make sure it's going to come around freely, make sure everything's snug. I'm going to start out by using a bowl gouge. So this is a bowl gouge.
A bowl gouge.
And I have another one here that's a little newer. So you can see how short this one is. That's just for me using it. This is clearly my favorite. You can see how short the flute is. This started out, just as long as the other one or longer.
Oh, so you're saying that over time it's
I sharpen it, So as I sharpen it, it just gets shorter and shorter, and eventually it gets too short. I'll maybe go another 3/4 of an inch, and I'll throw this one away and buy another one. This wood was actually cut off a downed tree about a week ago, so it's very green. It's a fresh wood, and that's the great thing about wood turning is you can use wood that was a tree today, you can make it a bowl today. You can't do that in woodworking because the wood moves. But on a bowl, it doesn't really matter if it moves a little bit.
So like if I was going to create a piece of furniture, I want the wood to be much more aged.
Right, it has to be dried. So it has to be either kiln dried or air dried for several years. So that was another thing that pulled me towards wood turning is for one, the wood, endless supply of free wood, which is great. And then it's much easier to work when it's wet. So This one's fairly wet. I don't know how long the tree trimmer had it before he gave it to me. You know, maybe he cut it down a month ago. I'm not sure, but he gave it to me about a week ago. So there might be some water in it, so we might have a little bit of water come out of it. We'll see.
We were wondering, when you chuck it up the way that you did, how do you prevent having a bowl or a hole in the bottom of the bowl?
Well, that's something I didn't go over.
Good question, Eastern York.
Sure. The bottom of the bowl is here.
Okay.
So I've drilled the hole only about 1.5 inches deep through the top.
Okay.
So all of that will be hollowed. And then I've got a small hole that I've created here by pressing in this tailstock. It's got a little point. And I'm going to push the foot far enough this way that won't affect me.
Okay.
And then after that, you'll see I'll measure constantly to make sure as I approach where my foot is, I'm not hollowing the bowl too deep.
Very cool.
So we'll cover that as we get to it. But you can see it starting. I'm basically right now, I'm just trying to make it round. I need to turn it, make it spin faster, and I can't do that right now because it's vibrating. So what I have to do is get it more symmetrical so that it doesn't have as much vibration.
Now I've got a question for you about these, these numbers that we see right here. If we can get a shot of this piece of instrumentation right here. What do these numbers, what's happening here?
So that's an RPM, so that's telling me how fast it is.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I really don't pay attention to that because it's all about feel. So, you know, I want to take it up as fast as the lathe will safely take it, and a number doesn't really tell me that, but vibration does.
All right.
So I can tell by the vibration, the sounds that I'm hearing, whether or not I'm at a safe speed, and if I need to back it down.
Okay.
If you get tied up looking at numbers, then you're always making mistakes because every piece of wood is different. Every piece of wood, you know, might be denser on one side than the other.
Feel what the piece is telling you.
Sure. You can feel how wet that is.
Yes, I mean, it's definitely moist. It's like you just ran water through it.
Sure.
And it's really beginning to become much smoother. The areas that are, I'll call them flat for now, more angled, are really reducing.
Sure, absolutely. So now,
go ahead.
You noticed I stopped here. I'm going to come and cut the other direction.
Okay.
Because if I keep cutting this way, it's going to start peeling the bark off because I'll be pushing.
And you want this bark as part of the natural.
And I want to try to keep it.
Okay.
Many cases you just can't keep it.
Okay.
But we're going to try.
All right.
This tree was, if it was cut in the cold of the winter, it'd be much easier to keep the bark on. Right now it's already gotten warm here. This tree is cut recently, so the bark's not going to hold on as well as it would have had we cut it in December.
Gotcha. Well, I'll let you get started again. Matt will continue to work with the lathe and the wood bowl instrument. As Matt continues to work, both the foot of the bowl and its rounded shape begin to take form. Now I've noticed you've angled this.
Sure, I just wanted to get the tool rest closer to the piece so that if I'm hanging way off the tool rest, then you're more likely you're giving all your leverage to the machine. And I'd like to maintain the leverage on my side.
All right.
So if I put the tool rest closer, now I have all the leverage by having the tool back with me instead of hanging over the tool rest on the other side. This is a very strong motor, so if I don't pay attention to that, pretty soon the machine is going to be pulling me instead of me pulling it.
Just to let you know, Matt, we're about we're just over 30 minutes into the program as you think in terms of time frame for creating the bowl or whatever we might need to do, just so you have an update on that. Let's go back to Fraser High School. Fraser has a question. Oh, we can really begin to see the bowl form take shape now. You guys can really see that. Fraser, a question from you guys, or let us know if you don't have one.
Yeah, we're wondering if he's ever worked with diamond willows.
Have you ever worked with willow?
I have.
Diamond willow?
I have. Diamond willow doesn't get very big, typically. But I have worked with several willows. They're all very soft and very difficult to work. But often they're very pretty. A diamond willow has a lot of bark inclusion. And bark inclusions are very nice looking.
And when you say bark inclusion, what does that mean?
So we may have one on here. If I grab this piece, you can see here, bark reaches all the way down into the piece of wood.
Oh.
So the wood, it had grown all the way around this, but bark had reached all the way in.
And so that's nice because it creates a really nice decorative element.
Sure, yeah. And on diamond willow, you get a lot of like ovals where the bark has turned into it. Oh. So it's very pleasing.
Oh, thanks, Fraser, for that question very much. Let's go back to Pennsylvania again. Eastern York, another question from you guys.
Is there a certain reason you chose sugar maple for this project?
Is there a reason you picked sugar maple for this particular piece, or is it like it was on the shelf?
No, it's just what I had recently.
Okay.
You know, so I wanted something that was relatively green for ease. The drier the wood is, the more difficult it gets.
And you're doing some really fine work now.
And right now I'm really just trying to refine the shape.
Okay. And I assume the wood speaks to you. The wood's going to dictate the shape. How much? What's that dance, so to speak, between?
It does. You know, and every time I've stopped it, I'm looking at the grain. I'm looking. You know, the form. You know, form is most important on any piece. You know, you can take the most beautiful piece of wood, and if your form is bad, the piece is bad. You can't cover up bad form. So in most cases, you want to really pay attention to the form.
Another email question we got in is, what about wood do you find most interesting?
You know, I think most interesting is the different grains that you'll find in every piece of wood. And if you look in here, you can see a lot of reflection from the light. So you can see all these kind of striations that are occurring, and reflects the light differently, and every piece is a little different. And
one of the cool things for me is that I would not have known that this would have existed, obviously, when we started with that block.
Sure.
And as you've moved inside now, that's there, and that's a real interesting, you know, kind of fan-out look.
Sure.
That could be very beautiful.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to come across.
And go ahead.
I've already lost the bark here. You can see it pulled off. So most likely on this piece, we're going to lose all the bark. I typically like it to either all be there or I'll just pull it off. So most likely, once we cut into this a little bit, I may pull the bark off and do this one without.
The work continues and the wood shavings accumulate until it's time for Matt to make an adjustment.
So right now I'm taking the screw out, and I'm going to flip this around and put it in the chuck so I can hold the...
Okay, and so because now we're going to begin to bore into the center of the bowl.
Correct. So now we're going to start to hollow it.
So now we're going to begin to hollow out the bowl, so we're going to switch out the wood so you can begin to see the inside part come out, so to speak, and we can see that begin to move as that happens. And the size that you work with in terms of what's going to bore into it, does that depend on the size of the piece of wood, or is there some sort of standard that you work with to make it happen?
We're not going to drill it. We're going to hollow it with the tool.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Everything's done by hand.
Everything's going to be done by hand.
That would be cheating for sure.
Well, good to know. We don't want any kind of cheating.
We can't allow that.
No, that would not be a good thing whatsoever.
And it would not do a very good job to begin with. So,
okay.
We're really limited to doing this by hand.
Okay. So now, is there anything else the students just need to know about process right now before you begin this?
So I've got the basic outside form. I'm going to take this in a little more, in a little bit, but I want to get some of this hollowed first so that I have the support. I don't want to make this too thin. So I'm going to hollow this part out, get this to my finished thickness, maybe an inch in, and then I'll reevaluate and I'll bring that shape in a little bit.
Okay.
But I don't want to do that just yet.
All right. Then it's time to sharpen a tool and let the hollowing begin. So he's going to really begin to bore the hole, so to speak, into the middle of this bowl so that you guys are able to see that happen. And he's going to be really focused on that. And as he continues to be focused on that, we'll continue to ask for your questions throughout the program. So I'm going to let Matt work on that a little bit and have you guys watch that. And as this happens, let's go to Eastern York in Pennsylvania. Eastern York, another question for you guys right now.
What was the most intricate piece you ever worked on?
Oh. If you're interested in intricacy, like what is a piece that would be an example of really intricate work you've done?
Well, if you go online and look at the toys, you'll see those are very intricate. And there's a lot of little hidden things that I put into them. So, you know, I made a couple that were made out of mostly a bunch of scoops. So you'll see the steering wheel was a scoop, and you know, you have to look hard. If you owned it and you looked inside on the wheels, I might have textured a few scoops inside the texturing. So I always try to do something a little for someone to find later when I'm doing those types of pieces.
Very cool. We put up his website address earlier. We can bring that website address up again for everybody to let you guys know that if you go to that web address that he's got, that website he's got, you'll be able to find out those examples of those toy pieces. And if it's possible for us to get directly into the bowl to move the camera so we're like kind of straight on at a moment in time, that might be kind of cool for the students to see the depth that's happening as we begin to create the inner space of the bowl. And he's going to continue to work with that as he continues to bore into that and creates that inner space. It looks like we've got maybe about a half an inch in so far. And so you work from the inside out. You start in the center and work to the outside.
I do, and I only go in and you can see about an inch at a time.
Okay.
And that's so I still have support.
Oh, because obviously if you went in too far, too fast, the outside might collapse on you?
It'll start flexing.
Okay.
So there's centrifugal forces at play here.
We've got an interesting question, Matt, about your nature and relationship to the work. Would you call this a passion or an obsession?
Oh, it has to be both.
Ah. How so? Talk about that a little bit as we see.
Well, this is, if you want to move further in this, the only thing that's going to get you good at it is hours and hours and hours on the lathe. So I think that takes a bit of an obsession to put those many hours in a shop to learn. There's a lot of guys wonder why I'm better than they are, and they've been turning for 10 years. But if you looked at the number of hours I've spent on a lathe, and you look at the number of hours they've spent on a lathe, I've got them circled 4 or 5 times. So, it's all about how much time you put into it. It's certainly a passion of mine. I greatly enjoy it. But I'm willing to put in.
You can really see the piece begin to take form as he bores into the center there. See the depth really begin to emerge. And do you have an idea in mind to start with about how deep the bowl is going to be? Do you know how far, like at what point you need to stop on the back end?
I'm going to stop it pretty almost where I'm at, just so we can get it closer to finished.
Okay.
Typically, I would probably take that all the way down to the far base. It would be very tall. But for today's purposes, it's going to be better if I cut it across on the outside.
So you're looking for, most frequently then you're looking for about as thin as you can get?
Yeah, typically, about an 1/8 inch is what I'm shooting for.
So we can definitely see that we've got an interior to it that eventually over time you would make even deeper.
I would, yeah. If I was at home, I would make that even deeper.
Okay. And now you're doing some fine edging work to...
Yeah, I'm just going to bring this in a little bit so that it's easier to do the outside than the inside.
Oh, okay.
Currently, for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this in a bit.
The refinement of the shape continues, and then it's time to begin the finishing steps.
So I'm trying to make a few finished cuts here on the inside. I'm going to try to clean
when we think in terms of like your basic tools, an email question we've gotten is, what kind of cost would they be getting into to get a basic good lathe and some good woodworking tools?
I would recommend, if you're just starting out, it's always best, I think, to buy the biggest used lathe you can come up with.
Okay.
And I paid $350 for 3 very good sized used lathes. They came out of a high school that had no longer had the program going. One of them I paid $40 for, one was $110, and one was $200, which I overpaid for, most likely. I could have got it for much cheaper. But new lathes are expensive. The price of steel's gotten pretty high. Your initial investment's probably going to be a minimum of close to $1,000. If you really want to get into it.
Okay.
By the time you buy a lathe, a chuck, several tools, you can do it cheaper.
We're about 3 minutes left in the program here, so Matt, I'm going to let you just finish the piece up and talk to us through about what you might be doing.
So we're going to, at this point, I've got the shape that I like on the outside. I've hollowed it. It's a little thick on the bottom. If we had more time, I would continue to make it thinner.
Okay.
But with the limited amount of time we have, I'm going to go ahead and find my point at the base and cut it off.
Okay, so like we're not necessarily going to have all 3 tiers of the base, so to speak.
That gets way too busy. For me, that's too busy.
Okay.
So we're only going to keep the first tier.
So you're really much more into clean lines or the natural shape?
Yeah, and I don't, very rarely do I ever dye or stain. I've done it, but it's very rare.
Okay.
So most of my experimentation is with carving.
Okay.
On finished pieces. But for the most part, I like it to be clean, simple, and let the form speak for itself.
Matt, conclusionary thoughts, final words about what makes wood great, or things that kids should be thinking about, or artists, people interested in this kind of work?
Sure. It's a naturally renewable resource. So it's you're not taking anything, because we don't have to cut trees down to make this. So it's a great thing to be able to use just Mother Nature. It's natural. It comes down in storms. You can turn for free off of that wood forever.
And are you about ready to take it off? Oh, he is taking it off.
Yep.
And we have a perilously close to final piece.
Yeah, and it would typically be a little thinner. For today's purposes, we were short on time, so we had to leave it a little thick. But the outside shape is pleasing. It's a continuous curve from the foot to the top, which is what I'm looking for. Levels out at the top, curves a little bit back in, and the grain is just beautiful. So what I'll do now is I'll put that in a brown paper bag and let it dry slowly over a few days. If I
Okay.
just left it sit out, the moisture is going to come out too quick and it'll crack.
Oh, okay.
So I have to take care of it even after this point. And since it's natural edge, I don't sand them until they're dry. So I'll take it off, let it dry, and then I'll sand it by hand.
Matt, thanks so very much for
Thank
being
you.
with us
Appreciate
today.
it.
We really appreciate the time.